Kari Lake returns. It's been quite some time since we talked about Kari Lake. She is what do you say about Kari Lake if you don't know who she is? She was like a MAGA influencer turned gubernatorial candidate turned loser in a gubernatorial race turned election denier about her gubernatorial race turned senatorial candidate turned election denier about her Senate candidacy, turned Voice of America head, dismantling it, appointed by Trump. And now Trump is selecting her to be the ambassador to Jamaica. She believed, good job, Kari. You made it to the top, ambassador to Jamaica. She believed about herself. She's definitely sort of a egomaniac. And she believed about herself when she was running for governor. People thought she was going to win against Katie Hobbs, and that's why she lost it like Trump did whenever she lost her election, because she couldn't process that she lost. And she never accepted that election. And you have to understand something about politicians like her and like Trump and a lot of others, Vance. The second they see a little bit of a window towards power, their mind goes to, I'm going to be president. I'm going to be president. I promise you, when she saw the polls and thought she was going to win the gubernatorial race in Arizona, she was like, I'm going to be governor for a few years and I'm going to be president after that. And she went all the way from that perception to losing a bunch of court cases because she couldn't prove fraud, to then losing another election against Ruben Gallego. And now she's trying to become the ambassador to Jamaica, which, no hate, ambassadorships are big jobs, but definitely not the one that she thought she was going to have. And so here's her in a hearing with Senator Tim Kaine, just getting dismantled about her lack of credibility. Because to be an ambassador, we should probably respect your credentials, your truth value. And she has a horrible track record on those two things. And so he runs circles around her, demonstrating how dishonest she was when she ran against Ruben Gallego and accused Gallego of being controlled by the cartels without evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Lake, in response to a question from Senator McCormick, you said that you were proud of the way you ran your campaigns in 2022 and 2024. When I asked you a question, on September 27, 2024, you gave a TV interview about your opponent, then House member, now our colleague, Senator Gallego, in which you said he is, quote, controlled by the cartels. His own father was a Colombian drug trafficker, and so he's got links to the cartel. A PolitiFact article on October 3, a few days later, rated that pants on fire.
Quickest pause to request that you click the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It's completely free, and it's the simplest way to support the work that we do right below the video. Click that subscribe button, and then also, whatever you're thinking or some random statement, drop it in the comments. That helps algorithmically, and click the like button. Back to the video.
And the title of the article, and I'd like to submit it for the record, Mr. Chair, is In Arizona Senate Race, Kari Lake Fabricates Link Between Ruben Gallego and Drug Cartels. Now, this is pretty undiplomatic behavior. And just for my colleagues, I hope you might read this story. Ruben, our colleague, has written a memoir about his very troubled upbringing and about the fact that he was abandoned by his father, who then did get into criminal trouble. He was abandoned by his father. He had to be raised by his mother. He was so furious at his father that he changed his last name to be his mother's maiden name, not his father's name. He talks about graduating from boot camp as a Marine, and after years of abandonment, his dad tried to show up and take credit for his own graduation from Marine boot camp. And he writes about how furious that made him and still makes him. He writes about how ashamed he is of his father, how angry he is at his father. Abandonment by a father is one of the most seminal tragedies of life. I mean, go back to the biblical phrase, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? This is not something to fool around with. Ms. Lake accused one of our sitting colleagues of being controlled by the cartels. You had no evidence then, nor do you have any evidence now.
So that's a bombshell way to set up the question. We're about to cut to Kari Lake trying to respond. Because not only do you say you have no evidence he's controlled by the cartels, But the link that you're trying to exploit to further that point is actually a very, I don't know if relatable is the right word, but resonant story of Gallego's life about a father who abandoned him and then was doing bad stuff. And then Gallego going as far as changing his name to stay. Clearly, this wasn't like, oh, we should be suspicious. They were best friends the whole time his dad was working with the drug cartels or whatever. Actually, you flesh out the story and go, oh my gosh, this is going to make people more sympathetic to Ruben Gallego. And so if you're going to make that claim, it better not just be because of his dad, because that story does not prove your point. It proves the opposite point. So let's see. Does she have more evidence than just his dad that he was not in a relationship with?
Now that our colleague Senator Gallego is controlled by cartels, do you, Ms. Lake?
Well, we provided the receipts. The father was a high-level drug trafficker, trafficking hundreds of thousands.
You said that Ruben Gallego was controlled by the cartels. You provided no evidence. This was rated pants on fire, a lie. You had no evidence then, and you have no evidence now that Ruben Gallego is controlled by cartels. Isn't that right?
I thank you for the question, Senator Kaine. I do appreciate it. I don't know, and I'm not here to do reputational control or reputational
How about an apology to our colleague? If you made that...
She says, I don't know. So you have any evidence other than what we already know about his dad? I don't know. Oh, so you made a outrageously defamatory claim then? Is that what you're saying? Not even that there was a link, because I guess you could fairly say, yeah, I guess a familial link is a link. You're trying to denote something differently, especially given his life story, but okay. What's the link? Controlled. Ooh, that's a high standard of evidence for controlled. And she says, I don't know. With her lack of credibility on that, and then most consequentially, election lies, you should not ever be in public office again in any capacity whatsoever. Obviously, you're going to get it because you're being selected by the Trump administration. He's not going to care about that. But in any reasonable world, someone with that track record of her lies would not be anywhere close to power, even if it's just the ambassador to Jamaica.
Claim he was controlled by cartels, and now you're saying you don't know what the facts are, then you're acknowledging that your charge was wrong. How about apologizing to our colleague?
I don't believe my charge was wrong. Ruben Gallego's father is a high-level
That's not the question I asked you.
He was a felon.
That's not the question. You asserted he was controlled by cartels. You had no evidence then. You have no evidence now. You're unwilling to admit it. And here's something that's even worse, Mr. Chair. That was during the heat of a campaign. Sometimes we say things during campaigns that we go too far. She's continued to repeat this as a sitting member of the Trump administration. A couple months ago, Ruben Gallego put out a tweet against the invasion of Venezuela. He didn't mention Ms. Lake. He just said he was against it. And she, at 2:35 in the morning, the following day responded, "You are a member of a Mexican cartel family. You are also a fraud. No one is surprised by your take." She's continuing to repeat a lie. She just told the committee she has no idea whether it's true or false, but she was glad to say it, and she won't retract it now. That should be disqualifying. Mr. Segrano.
Wow. Those are the moments you wait for in hearings like this, and they rarely come around, and that's brutal. But here's the part that's more brutal. She could be exposed like that 100 times over in these hearings, and she's going to get the job. She's going to get the job. Republicans will vote for her. They'll have enough votes that she'll end up getting the job. Maybe some Democrats will even vote for her. A lot of Democratic senators are still weird about that. Like, well, I'm showing bipartisanship by Fetterman. Fetterman will be like, well, maybe we should look into Gallego's dad. But that's the sad state of affairs, right? You have an administration that's bar for qualifications or trustworthiness is so low that Satan himself would pass it. Meaning it's below hell is my point. Okay. And that is a very bad thing for our country, because ideally all these positions would be like, wow, these are the best people America has to offer. Of course, our federal government staff with the political appointees are the best that we have to offer in the country. And what is funny too, Kayla and I were joking about this recently. The Trump era has kind of made it to where no one thinks that they couldn't run for office. You know what I mean? It used to be you go, I don't feel like I have enough qualifications. Now I think everyone who has any interest is like, yeah, I'm qualified enough. Why? Because I'm a person. Because clearly they just pick random people to be in these positions.